Hello.
Oh, I thought that meant you, because you introed last time, you were going to intro.
So we need someone else to intro
This
time,
is
right?
an introduction to the Boardcast. Welcome, everybody.
Episode 5, and we're still as bad as we are.
Yeah,
in the
it's
first episode.
a brisk
This
Wednesday
is the
night.
first almost midnight cast that we're doing.
Yeah.
Almost midnight. Not
After
midnight,
hours, 18
After
plus.
hours, yeah.
Yeah.
So
The
do we still
Boardcast.
expect Kang's like production time to be the same? Am I expecting to be able to drive my truck tomorrow morning and listen to my own voice for the first hour?
Not too sure about that.
When we said after dark podcast recording, I was like,
Oh.
I shouldn't bring pants.
Should we we put some dim lights on and make it nice and good, put a candle out there?
What is this going?
William's too dad for this.
So guys, to back up from the previous conversation we had last week, I've went out to a news agency and purchased myself a PC Power Play. Now,
What?
Kang's cheated, William, and he's guessed what's on the. He's seen what's on the front of the
I
magazine.
could not
right?
guess it for the life of me.
I was surprised to actually find a magazine in there, but they did have them. It's dated from.
Bottom left.
I have no idea when it's dated from. I can't find it. Sorry, but it's 2024, William.
Yeah.
Can you guess what's on the front of this PC Power Play magazine?
A game?
Yeah, it's obviously a game, man. Come on, man. what
Computer.
what game do you think is on there?
Call of Duty? Fortnite?
That's a good guess.
It's not a bad guess.
Yeah.
So in 2024 of PC Power Play, we have ourselves a League of Legends on the front of this game. So you could have walked into a news agency in 1995 and found the same thing on the front of a magazine, right? Like, how?
1995.
I don't know. When did? I don't know. I'm not a League player. When did League come
Maybe
out?
like 2015, maybe.
No, 2011.
is
2012.
that when League? I thought it was earlier than that. Oh, whatever.
12,
Still,
11, 12, yeah.
We're
maybe,
talking
yeah.
about 15 years
Dota's
later.
been around since like 2008.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dota
man.
2 is the one that's newer, right?
So I thought I'd have a little read. It's funny. Look, there's a few callbacks here in the conversation. So like we've had before.
nice.
Is it like
I
a
like-
review? Or?
I like that on the cover as well. It does mention Grand Theft Auto 6. So at least it's
They're
being
trying to be relevant.
kind of.
Yeah. So there's some like Total War.
So what's
news in
inside?
here.
What's the content about?
It's mostly like game reviews. So
Right.
You know, primarily things you can find on the internet in about 35 seconds.
Yeah, just go to YouTube.
It's this is a physical representation of Reddit. Is what we're looking at right here. So,
I'm having super strong nostalgia feedback, but also conflicted, like feelings because it has League of Legends on the cover, but it's PC Power Play because it's my childhood and I love it.
So my issue is because this thing is printed like probably maybe a month or I don't know how many months, right? But there's gonna be a new update to
Whoa,
it.
don't crush my childhood, mate.
Wait, hold on. I just want to explain. Like, there's gonna be like an update to the game, and it will change the game a little bit.
yeah.
and then
do you think it's just hot fixes somewhere on the line?
yeah,
here? It's just
probably
there's
like
just a line of hot
we'll send
fixes?
you like a one piece of paper to hot fix that page.
Well, if it's anything like the PC Power Plays I used to read when I was like younger, it like a big part of why you read it was also for like the opinion pieces. Like people would write like like little like interesting topics about like older games or someone's own opinion about like the state of where games are, especially in the tech side of things. It's always nice to also have like someone else describe like why they like this piece of tech, etc.
just go to YouTube.
Yeah, the internet does exist. I do like that at the top of the magazine here it says Australia's #1 PC game
Wait.
magazine.
The only one.
How much is it?
It was $13.99.
It's $14.
What? That's how much they cost back in the day.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's that cheap.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
It hasn't inflated in price. No
I don't
inflation.
think you could print this at Officeworks for this amount of money.
Wait, did it come with a DVD?
No.
Okay, to be fair though, it used to be $10 without a disc, $15 with the disc.
So I was a Hyper magazine guy, so I don't
Yeah.
remember this.
Right.
But I don't know. I discussed this last time. I don't know if I'm fishing this out of a bin.
Can I have a look at it, please?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm surprised
Whoa,
people are
that's
still.
$14
This is the
Still-
most
man,
visual,
careful.
non-visual episode.
I know.
we have.
I did.
All right, I'm holding the magazine in my hand. I'm just saying that I'm surprised that
The
there is
smooth
still like people advertising on it.
Yeah, of course they need
I
advertising
wonder
to survive.
like how much the advertising
Yeah,
cost
it's
has dropped since then. Like probably last time it's like, oh, the back page is 10 grand. Now back page is $200 and we'll give you something.
All this is making me feel like is I need to go to a news agency and buy a PC Power Play. Because I used to be a proper like
It's going-
regular
I've
reader.
hooked
I
you
used to every month I would read the entire magazine. I'd go in.
But
I'll read a White Dwarf, but not this.
So I feel like there's been a renaissance on books because they experience like away from a Kindle or like a tablet, right? Of like sitting down whether you don't need the electricity or and you can do it like
Right.
outside or whatever. So maybe it's the same experience someone's getting where they can turn off from their phone and be away from technology for 5 minutes. I guess, but still read about technology.
Yeah.
Halfway through the conversation, I was like, what am I talking about?
I think a part of my brain is that I still appreciate that there is a magazine where it collates. I don't have to go out and search for all the individual pieces of information. I just have a magazine where like I don't have to go out and search for a review of this graphics card. Like my monthly mag will probably have a review of it.
Just say it and your phone will pick it up. Algorithm, bro.
It's true.
Algorithm.
Or maybe there's the fact that it's like when you go home for dinner with your mom and she feeds you and you don't get a choice, but you also don't have to make a choice.
True.
So maybe it's like the magazine's like, it's telling you what you should read and
It's
you
like-
don't have to put any effort into it.
It's like TV maybe 15 years ago or 10 years ago without Netflix and stuff. You just watch what you're given.
Yeah, because now I do this thing where I'll meet up with my family once every week or so, and there's like 8 of us who live in different houses, and we'll like exchange like Netflixes and Amazons. Be like, all right, have you got this? Have you got Stan? All right, I need this one for this week. You take that, and like we swap over because nobody knows. It's too hard to figure out what's anything. I know the US has like a good app where you can. It like collates all the shows, right? So you can search like I'm going to watch, like The Simpsons, and it will tell you what The Simpsons is streaming on what you can have access to. So like that's my version, but it's just my family in a house
TV
arguing
guys
over who
back
gets
in the
what.
day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So what are you guys up to lately?
Hobby wise?
Yeah.
Or just in life?
Just in general.
Yeah, in general and hobby. And
I've started this podcast with a couple goofs.
oh,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
this is like what, our fourth or
Suddenly
fifth?
a lot
Fourth?
more audio editing entered my life recently.
Oh, nice. A new skill, good skill.
Yeah, I was talking about like the robustness of how like easy it is to podcast, and then like I was talking like with a mate, and I was like, hey, I've got to remind myself that I just come in for an hour and talk shit, while Kang has to then go away for hours and make sure that it's ready to go.
True.
I've learned a lot from just like experience, right? Like just doing a thing is the best way to learn it. So like I look back and when I edited episode 1, and I'm like, when I published episode 1, I was like, you know what? This is pretty good. I don't mind what I've done here. And there's a massive jump in quality from episode 1.
Just in a matter of like a couple weeks.
Yeah, just like one episode to episode 2. From episode 1 to episode 2, massive jump in audio. I'm sure everyone like has been listening, like can feel it as well. And like it makes episode 1 look to shame. And it's like episode 1 took the most amount of effort for me to as well to like put it all together.
So if we get to episode 8 and it's not extraordinarily better, should I come knocking and being like, what's going
No,
on?
I mean like the percentage is going to be less and lesser, right? It's going to
yeah.
be exponentially less.
Any moment now we'll have an intro song. And that's when the next big jump is, right?
Ooh, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'll,
That's iPhone 8
I'm waiting
to iPhone
that.
10.
Well, you learn how to like edit. So can you just learn to like digitally make music? Like,
Oh, mate.
where's the effort, Kang?
All right, so next episode of the
It's just me and William by ourselves.
DJing. Yeah.
Kang's like, fuck this. So we're recording on a Wednesday night because we have children and it's hard to like deal with school holidays. I'm in the same boat. My child's like at an age where he wants to go out and do things. So I'm like trying to chase him around during the day as well while juggling work. So we're recording on a Wednesday night after the club. So League Night has just wrapped up for Warhammer Fantasy. It's like our membership night for the boards, which is the game club that we record out of. So it's pretty cool after all this time. It's like 10 something years to see Warhammer Fantasy coming back in. And I've been really struggling to juggle it to make sure that I'm getting as much gaming time in as I can. So I think that's some of the feedback we're getting when talking about it is that, we're obviously doing a hobby podcast, but aren't talking about that much hobby. And I think it comes down to the fact that a lot of us, like the three of us, would love to be doing more hobby, but our attention is being taken away in different places. So like that juggle between wanting to do it and having to like do other things as well, right?
Definitely. I can see that. Like, I'm being taken away with TCG at the moment because it's easier to play TCG where you just get cards and you can play right away, right? There's no painting on the cards, or you just leave them up and you just play and you get the full experience of the game itself. But for Warhammer, like I don't play Warhammer in general. I just paint mainly. The thing is with painting, you need to sit down and there's a stage. I do display painting a lot, and it's just a long process. It's not like you can finish in a day or 2 or a week. Sometimes it can take months to finish a single miniature and stuff like that. So that process is now like, you're just weighing between painting a miniature for a month or play a TCG. Like you can get a full experience right away, right?
You only have so much like available time that you can split up. So it's like, if I've got 8 hours a week to go spend doing my hobby away from my kids and my family and my responsibilities? Do I want to go out and play like a couple games with cards with different people and like expand my reach and my network doing that way? Or do I spend it at home painting or playing a single game?
That's right.
And I think I find the same thing with the cards because I'll come down and play. I know you play One Piece at the events, and I do Commander a lot, Magic the Gathering. And I know that it's better for me to come in and play a few different games of Magic the Gathering with quite a few different people. Like I can interact with 4 different people like a time when I play, do those, and I can knock those out and really, I guess, as a community leader, communicate with as many people as I can rather than play one like 4 or 5 hour game of like one single game of Warhammer with one person. You know what I mean? And it's I think that's definitely valuable. But like we met originally through tabletop, right? I mean,
That's right. We'll play Warcry.
Warcry at the local
Warhammer
store, and it's like I think at the time we were the only 2 rocking up, and that was the first time I met you. And I actually thought you were like 10 years younger than me, and this is back then. I didn't know that you were older than me until way later down the track, and I was like, oh.
An old man.
You presented well.
Yeah. So yeah, I understand that feeling totally. Like I really like playing tabletop, or the experience of tabletop is really fun. Like you really immerse yourself in that whole environment of like the gameplay itself. It's really different from like TCGs or whatever.
Yeah.
Any TCGs out there, like it's just fast. I think all TCGs are made to be like be completed within a short time frame.
Yeah.
Unlike tabletop where you want to experience every single bit of it, like each attack, is it going through? Like if it's TCG, it's like attack, it's gone through. Yeah. You know, like if it's like Warhammer, it's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna attack you. Like I gotta use 4 attacks, and then I have to roll whether these attacks hit. And
you're not a very good salesman for the game. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I definitely
I'm trying to immerse myself in this narrative that William's created.
4 attacks. But I think especially for Warhammer itself, because it's the biggest of the tabletop games by a lot, right? 40K and AOS and Old World, all those kind of things. Those games are so big and there's so much lore and story and media and products for it that you can really immerse yourself in the game without even playing the game at all. So there's the TV shows and their version of Netflix where you Warhammer Plus where you sign up and you watch that. And like I listen to a lot of the audiobooks, and I think very recently there are a few guys like Red who's just started playing at the club. He's listened to and has heaps of like knowledge on the lore and all the story. But he's only just started playing the game this year after, years and years of being involved and developed inside the world of Warhammer. So I think it's like it has such a reach that you can really get involved in the world of Warhammer without having to actually commit to playing the game.
I always describe like Warhammer and tabletop games as like a fully fledged hobby. It really touches on all aspects. With card games, you can kind of get in and you play, and 15-minute games, low energy, low in like commitment, low investment, right? But also you can play card games, and all you're really getting out of it is really a game and a collectible, right?
Yeah.
So which is why you get a lot of people that will play like really hard for like a year or 2 and they'll fall out of it. But I really feel like tabletop games, especially Warhammer, is a lifelong hobby. You get into it and like you might find yourself enjoying the gameplay side of things. There's a creative side of things where you're building and you're painting, narrative where you can really get into those books. There's now TV shows coming out. So like that's why you hear so many stories of like people that are into Warhammer, just have been into Warhammer for like their whole life. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's such a level of investment in it. It's a really, really fully fledged hobby. You can really touch so many different aspects of it, and everyone can find something they love out of it.
True.
So
I guess that's good marketing when you know that you can produce a single product, but within that be a range of products that someone who likes tabletop will get in, but someone who just likes like hardcore space like narratives can get in, and someone who likes the dark gritty online of it, or like games like Total War, and like there's so many different elements that is pushed into it, means you can get something out of it, and they can really like net a whole different customer base, right?
And it's all under this one umbrella of Warhammer, which is really kind of crazy to see. Like so many other hobbies, you're in it just for that one thing, right? Like for example, like let's say sports. If someone's into sports, they're probably just into it because they like to play it, right? And they'll like to watch the game of it. But you can fall in and out of sports, I feel like, as well.
Yeah.
With Warhammer, it's like if you fall out of the gameplay side of things, you might find yourself doing a lot more of the painting and hobby, creative side of things, and you just bounce around within that all encompassing umbrella of Warhammer. So like I used to play a lot of Warhammer 40K, and I played a lot of it, but now I don't have a lot of time. So what I've fallen into is I just do a little bit more of the creative side of things. I'll like pick up my like tools and I'll assemble a couple minis. I'll do a little kit bashing, or like I'll pick up my brush and do a little bit of painting here and there, right? It's a little bit of like I'm still in Warhammer and I still feel like I'm involved.
Yeah.
So it's great.
That's one of the biggest benefits of being just part of the club, and is like this involvement in an environment like this is I can come down and like open the shop up on a Wednesday night and a whole bunch of other people play games. I don't even have to play the games because I can just be there and I feel like I'm part of it. Like I'm talking to the guys, I'm having a chat and a laugh, and we really get that nostalgia from kind of feed off other people's nostalgia.
Absolutely.
And I find that we've talked about this before, where I find the same thing when we like, I can really I can get the nostalgia for like stock coming in, like as if I've purchased something because it's cool and it's new for the store, and you put it on the shelf and you price it up and you put it up there and people are excited to see what's coming in. So it means I can like rally my own sale purchasing here and there because I'm like, oh, it feels like new stuff is coming into the store as well. And it's just, I think getting to be involved is like, working at a game store, and it's not all as perks that everybody think it is, but one of the big one is that you're always around the hobby and get to be part of everyone else's good experiences as well. Like when someone wins a game or they win a tournament or a prize or a raffle, all those guys experience that joy and fun of it in your environment that you've created, or that we've created together. And I think that's something really great. And that, the hobbies bring together people who are like-minded and can communicate and really create like a structure that you don't get in many other places. Like I know we've talked about sports quite a bit before, and it's like I played a lot of I did a lot of Muay Thai boxing, and then I played football, like soccer when I was younger, and they were very communal, like club sports. And I really like that we can get that same kind of thing here with our like membership program, and like just the regulars who come down and hang out and talk, and like then they make friends and they go hang out and get beers and stuff after. That's something that's really special, and you can get it doing one of these physical hobbies that you can't get out of the same way as like a I don't know, like a video game kind of community. Same thing,
It's funny you mentioned video games because a big thing that I get a lot is you get parents coming in with their children. And like children, would love it, right? There's so many different colors, so many different things to go for. And, a kid is easy to please. So they'll come in and they'll just love Warhammer. But for a parent, they always like seeing their kid working with their hand a lot more. And it's good because I really encourage parents to get their kids into like playing Warhammer. It's a social thing. You get the creative side of your kid. You're really teaching them how to like work with their hands and like get them away from a screen as well. Like, it's going to sound like pretty, boomer of me to be like, oh, these kids are on their screens now, on their iPads. But it's like, it's true though. Like, I feel like as a parent, you probably also want to see your kid away from the screen every now and again, right? So many kids kind of glued to their iPads. So
my, we're the age of like texting, and like technology's got so much better. Like from when I was a kid with like a Razr flip phone, like with buttons to like a iPhone now, obviously you can do so much more technology, right? But like my son and his mates, they don't even text each other. They voice record themselves and then send the voice just messages to each other constantly.
So Asian.
Is that
that's Asian culture, bro.
Yeah. That'd be a nightmare. I'm like driving down the street and he's listening to his mates like just talk shit to each other. I'm like, I don't want to hear this.
So how many years have you like been into the hobby, like for Warhammer itself?
It's tricky, right? Because I think I got in quite young through the video games, the Dawn of War video games. So as a grand encompassing hobby, I feel like I've been in like Warhammer for like most of my life. But like the actual playing side of things, I've only been in Warhammer for the last 4 years actually playing the game.
Well, I didn't realize. So the thing we just talked about a second ago, where people come into the hobby from different scopes, like I would never think of anybody coming into the hobby outside of, they'd start at like the physical hobby and then go into the other stuff. But you've literally come from Total War, which what I would call like a tertiary part of the hobby, and then brought it in that way, which is that to me is interesting.
I think especially 40K, among like the nerdier circles, 40K is pretty well known. Not everyone necessarily plays or does the hobby, but everyone kind of understands where 40K comes from. And that's the strength of like Warhammer, right? Where the narrative and the stories and the games have like just spread their reach so far out.
Yeah.
So,
My first Warhammer game was Space Hulk. Computer game.
Whoa.
What?
Computer game. It was 1992, I think. It was like
I watched some video walkthroughs of that. It's pretty funny.
2 CD-ROMs. I don't know if you know what is CD-ROMs, bro. CD-ROMs.
Ancient technology.
Yeah, ancient tech. It's Relic though. Relic. Like the game was so good. Like you are Deathwing, you go into the Space Hulk, and then you fight Gene Stealers, and then like I always equip all my Space Hulk with like lightning claws.
We've just been searching through our crates of Warhammer because we were trying to find Kang, the last member of one of my Space Hulk kits. I had a like incomplete kit, but I thought I had all the Space Marines for it, and we're trying to find. I think there's one missing, so I've got to go digging through all my. Like,
we should play Space Hulk one day.
We've got it here. There's a kit right like just behind me or somewhere.
Oh, really?
It's
should do one Space Hulk.
Warhammer game that stood the test of time.
Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely, yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
I can't remember how the game is in the tabletop game. It's you have one GM, right? Like to make you control the gene stealers.
Yeah, basically someone plays a gene stealers, and then the other player, you either can have mix up of multiple players playing the Space Marines, or you have one guy, and you basically play against each other that way, and you build the format as you go out. It's very much like like Diablo kind of thing, where you kind of create the map as you go along.
Yeah, you're clearing like dungeons.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's quite good. We've played it quite a lot. Connor, my mate who plays Warhammer and stuff here, he was a big fan of it, so he's bought it. He's bought it and then sold it, and then years went by, and then they re-released it, so he bought it and then he sold that one. And I was like, fucking go get that back from the cash converters.
when Space Hulk was released, like the newer version, right, the 2010, I think during that period of time. So there's a Kickstarter that they released the terrain for it. And the company who made it only made it once. And I missed out on the Kickstarter. And they made the whole Space Hulk, like the whole...
the entire ship.
Yeah, the whole ship. Not the ship, like parts of the ship, right? Where you put your minis out.
All the parts you can put
Correct.
together.
So it's like what you say, like as you go, you explore, and then more maps.
It's modular, right?
Yeah, so it's modular. And that thing is so cool. I couldn't find like a replacement, but I think there's a 3D printed like a file.
Yeah, I was going to say,
there's a file, but the ones that they made was like really good in quality.
It's like a mega collectible.
Yeah,
now, right?
it was a really good quality, and I couldn't find it anymore. I don't know what brand it is anymore, but I'll go back and check tonight again.
Find that at your local eBay.
Is that
for
like
$6,000?
is that like your holy grail relic of like you want?
I would like to have that
hobby grail
because I really love Space Hulk. Like Space Hulk is the one that brought me into the hobby, like many years ago. Like my first like experience with Warhammer was, I think maybe I was a 6 or 7. I went into like a local hobby store, and during that time, you have the play mat, which is made out of paper, and then it was flocked.
The paper was flocked.
Yeah, the
That's
whole
a
paper.
nightmare.
Like GW sold that. Like you can buy a fully flocked paper.
Are you talking about like the rollout mat, or are you talking
Yeah,
about an
it's
actual piece of paper?
No, it's an actual piece of paper. Like it's like
Your mum just mad because there's green
and then-
shit on the floor.
and then it's like fully flocked.
Do you like the green flock? Do you like that neon green flock?
The nostalgia
Old
for it,
GW.
absolutely.
Yeah. So during that time, those were the only options for playmat. So you have a 6x4. It's not like the new sizing, right? It's a 6x4, fully green paper playmat, and you have to like blue tack it down because it's gonna like roll back up, right? Because it's paper. It's not like there's no weight to it.
I've been touching a lot of older Warhammer lately, and like you mentioning that really puts it in my head that like playing like Warhammer back in the day was just a little bit harder. The technology wasn't really there,
and it was not environmental friendly because we used to get Warhammer in polystyrene boxes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because it's metal, right?
Oh, yes,
so you
yes,
pull out, it's pretty good packaging. Like you pull out, it's like just full polystyrene.
So that was in the 2000s where no one cared, right?
Well, I mean, during the time, Confrontation, there's a game called Confrontation. It's a French, like I think the brand called Rackham, I think something like that. Yeah. So they did polystyrene boxes as well because they were doing like pewter miniatures as well, and their miniatures are really fine. So they need to put it in like polystyrene, or else it would just break.
Because of Old World, I've been touching a lot of older minis lately, like resin and metal minis. And in the past, I would try to avoid them, but now I can't really avoid doing it. I just have to work with them. Man, metal minis how do you guys do it? Metal minis really got a little
You have
bit
a skill.
There's a bunch of effort there.
I've got one. William, do you have the worst metal mini you've ever built?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have one. It's called a Balrog.
The Balrog.
Because
It's
the
called
whip's really heavy?
It's called a Get Rock. Because if you had the original Balrog in metal, when you put the piece together, there's a huge gap on its back.
No.
You have to like green stuff the whole
That's
back.
right.
Was that just a giant oversight from
It's
GW?
just
the
just
mold was
disgusting,
bad.
yeah.
And like the next 10,000
I mean
customers.
the wings is plastic, but the body itself is metal. And because it's metal, and you know like how Balrog
heavy.
is, it's you know how Balrog is, right? He's
hunched
like
over.
hunch. And then if you don't put your base, like if you don't weigh down your base, it just topples.
You have to pin it.
Yeah.
I've got two stories for this one, right? So the worst mini I ever built was when I was probably like 15 or something, and it was an Elder Wraith Lord, right? And the core of the Wraith Lord has 2 ballpoint pins for where its legs go, and then the legs were obviously they were ball joints that then match onto those 2 pins. But what that meant is it's a metal mini, and then on top of the core of the body goes a big head, 2 big sponson guns, and 2 arms on 2 small ball points, right?
Yeah.
So you've got all this weight set on ball points. So no matter how much glue you would use, every now and again, your guy would just be like, you'd be playing a game and he would just pivot right at the hips and his just crutch would go straight into its own legs.
Do you know the number one cardinal rule of metal?
Pin your minis.
Pin your minis.
I know, man, but I'm a small child.
Yeah, exactly. What a nightmare pinning as well. Like,
So
Pinning is a skill that
the
you
hobby
must
was
have.
not child friendly back then.
My strategy was to use immense amounts of super glue until it was just built up around the core of body of the of the mini. I'll post some photos of it. I might even still have mine. I'll try and find it. But what a fucking nightmare of a mini to put together.
I guess this was like a selling point for G-dubs as well, because if you buy a mini, like, oh man, you need to buy this pin.
Yeah, the pinning drill.
Yeah,
the
pinning
hand
drill.
Pinning drill.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you need to buy this.
Do they
Like,
still sell that pinning drill now?
I think it's just called a drill bit now.
yeah, drill bit. Yeah.
Just a normal drill.
I mean,
You go to Bunnings and get the same thing for like $40 less money.
Yeah.
but then you need to like pin it and then like you slot it in. You
And
didn't experience this.
I'm fortunate that I generally work with newer GW kits, so I don't have to pin nothing. And I'm glad. Because every story I hear about it sounds like a nightmare.
But it's if you done it, you do it nicely, right? It's pretty like it's nice because there's weight to it. Like it's nice to hold. I mean, it's not nice to like prepare.
Yeah,
the
they're hard to
minute.
maintain, like the paint chips off and all that kind of stuff. But there is something visceral when you pick up like a heavy mini and you're like,
like,
"Ooh,
there's history there.
big old chunky boy coming in.
They date the minis as well, right? So on the computer, so you can look at the bottom of it. It would say like 2003.
Yeah.
And you'd be like,
So and also the problem is with pewter minis is I think the plastic ones has better details on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
we've come a long way.
Yeah,
to tell.
definitely.
The
The
new models
injection
look
like
really
it's
nice.
just much better now. And of course, resin is number one, but
I think as we're talking about, like the new forge-weld resin for some of the old world kits that are coming out are immaculate. And we often, something we see in the club a lot and we talk about a lot is the advancements that 3D printing has made and the ability to allow, like, you know, a lot of places, not everywhere, but a lot of places don't allow for 3D printed minis and this or that. But I think it's really, like, I find like Warhammer is like the Rolls Royce of tabletop gaming, right? So if you can afford that and it's what you want to do, you should absolutely go and do that. But I don't think it should be prohibitive to an average consumer who just wants to come play games with you to like say that they can't have 3D printed minis, because I just don't think that's fair. Like if that's the only thing they can afford and that's the way they want to do it, they should be able to do it that way. You shouldn't make, you know, bad choices and spend money on something you shouldn't have just to be able to play a game with your mates. So I think it's important that happens. And we've talked about how well that 3D printing technology has come along and how good those minis look. But then there's new like Bretonian models come out from the old world. And they were crisp, man. Yeah. Like, have you seen them? Like, the fleur de lis on the
I'm just waiting for the Green Knight or the Emerald Knight to be
Green Knight,
to be reissued or something, like a new sculpt or whatever. I was like, please.
Do you guys have like a favorite mini of yours at the moment? Because I can name mine at the moment.
A new one?
Just in general, in like games.
Oh, there's so many though.
In classic form here, my favorite mini is the second story that I was going to tell from before after the Wraith Lord, right?
Yep.
So my favorite mini since I was a kid is a goblin guy on a chariot called Grum the Paunch, right?
Oh, I know the one.
So I'll show you a photo after, right? But when I was a kid, way too broke. Mum was never going to let me spend like $70 on this chariot, right? So never got it. And then when I became an adult, they were like $400 on eBay. So I was never going to spend money on it then either, right? And then about a couple months ago, an awesome bloke called Craig that comes down to the club has a massive collection of old stuff and he was clearing things out. And he sold me a Grum the Paunch at a very, very reasonable rate of like $100. I was like, oh, I'm so keen. It was sealed in the green boxes from like second edition of Warhammer Fantasy. Sealed. It's sealed. It's in the styrofoam kit. I've got the box down there. I'm so excited.
That ancient
I'm
GWM.
so excited.
Next minute on eBay, Northern Boys.
I was so excited to open up my box. I crack it open. It's missing a sponson from one of the main parts to put it together. And I got done by GW like 30 years after that model was produced.
Oh my God.
You got it. missing part.
a missing part. I'm
30
like,
years later.
you know, I think if you guys said I can just 3D print it or I can like, you know, mold one up, and I'm going to have to do that to finish the model, right? But I was so cut. And I was, you know, the boys are all laughing because it has like, you know, there's a painting competition there from like, I think like 75 or something when you could like go apply for it, not 75, but whatever it was, the mid 80s. And there's like a painting competition there and there's all the marketing from then, which is pretty cool. Like it's the early editions of White Dwarf. And I was like, oh, you just send it back to GW and get your spare bit. I'm like, yeah. They're going to have spare bits of Grom the Paunch lying around.
You never know. You never know. Send an email.
Just send it in.
That
Send
one
it in.
GW reps is kind of like,
I wish at the time I'd kept the like plastic wrapping and so it was a bit more together. But I've got this box and the styrofoam box and it's in one of our display cabinets because it was like it's an old box and all the minis and in there.
Yeah.
But so it was like I couldn't be any more me if I didn't get gypped by GW like 30 years later.
that model is very cool though.
It is very cool.
I can visualize.
Do
the
you,
model.
do you have a favorite model?
Absolutely.
What's your favorite model?
So I want to quickly finish up. Grom the Paunch. He reminds me of an Asterix and Obelix character. He's like this chubby, like
Yeah.
goblin
I
fella
gotta
on a
find that
chariot.
out. I
You're
didn't
actually,
see
you're
what-
actually
very
pretty
cool.
right. And you
Yeah.
know what? He comes because he obviously looks like Obelix, like I'm assuming
Yes.
what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
And then the Grom the Paunch comes with a little guy on the chariot with him, which could be the
maybe,
Asterix summon.
maybe.
So.
Can you Google me a picture of it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So while Danny does that, so my favorite mini, it's actually pretty crazy because it's a more recent one, and to anyone that knows me well knows that I love vampires, right? So one of my favorite minis they released recently was a Black Library model of Kato Ezekiah. He's a vampire from Age of Sigmar, right? But I got a crazy like hobby whiplash. Oh, Danny's showing the picture.
Yeah. Oh, Tree Wolves.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm missing is like on the front here, one of the sponsons that hold the wolves together. So it's like it is really like
It's the
right at the
brace to
front.
hold them
Yeah.
all in, yeah.
Sorry, as you're saying.
No,
Kenny.
anyway, so yeah, Kato Ezekiah. So I had a like hobby whiplash because Kato Ezekiah is like this like model that I love, and I was really I picked one up recently, and I was gonna like really do a diorama piece. I've been doing a lot more display painting recently, and as I like put my Kato Ezekiah model together, and I'm planning out how I'm gonna like paint a Hellsick like model, the Adepticon was recently, and the Slayer Sword winner from Adepticon was someone who painted Kato Ezekiah, but he absolutely nailed it. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I really implore anyone listening to go look at this Slayer Sword winner of this year's Adepticon.
He painted one, and then he printed the other one.
Correct.
So he sculpted the other one.
Yeah.
So he flipped it and he
So
sculpted
what happened was he painted Kato Ezekiah, but he used real world 3D space to make it look like the model has a reflection. So he's made the model look like it's Kato Ezekiah standing next to a dead tree on a lake. And then he's physically molded the reflection on the bottom side of the tree to make it look like a reflection. And it's insane. It's an absolutely beautiful piece.
Is this what you're talking
That's
about?
the
Yeah,
one,
that's the one.
So I've just looked up the obviously the mini that Kang's talking about. I've seen this before. I didn't realize that wasn't a reflection. I thought it was sitting on a mirror, so there
Yeah.
was a reflection. That's
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's
insane.
insane. Yeah.
I
That's why
obviously haven't looked at it
Slayer-
hard enough to realize that it's missing the head and stuff like that.
It's
but
all
like-
the subtle things, like he's a
That's
vampire,
crazy.
so there's no reflection of his face. It's only just the armor.
oh,
and the
I
reflection.
haven't looked at that hard.
Yeah,
This is
it's
incredible.
no face at all. Like that's a vampire reflection.
And like there's a lot of really good like Golden Demons winners out there, but this one is a big standout for me because it has a little more personal touch for me because I love vampires.
So seeing this, honestly, one of the most amazing minis that I've ever seen in my life. Like now that I'm properly looking at it, did this spur you to paint it more, or make you want to not paint it at all?
I do not know what the hell I'm gonna do with mine anymore, man. That's
You just do whatever is narrative. Like this guy made it. Like his narration is
it's
the reflection,
very
right?
cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how he did it. Like you need to make you need to tell your story with your meaning. That's it. That's all you need to do.
true.
I had a few drafts because I also been reading like Kato Ezekiah's like novel. I only got
Is
through
it
the
good?
first couple chapters. It's not bad. It's pretty stock standard. Like I'm a sad, edgy like dude with a sword. It's basically
cool.
like Geralt or Rivia.
Is his
from
best
The
mate
Witcher.
like a wolfman and stuff as well?
Nah, but he has a couple of bits of more cool lore. Like he's a vampire, so he's immortal, and he used to be like a king, and he's haunted by like he has like 3 spirits that follow him, but also offer him guidance from his past. It's a few things.
In the past, I've found it hard to get engaged in the AOS lore. Do you think it's on the way? Is that why you stopped? Like, what was the reason you stopped?
I only got into it just because of the characters sounded interesting enough as it is, and I thought I would like read into it as I was painting it because obviously I like the model first and foremost. I actually still don't really know what's going on in Age of Sigmar. There's something about like there's something about all the different realms and the changing nature of it that I can't keep up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just I'm not skilled enough because old world fantasy was easy for me. Old world fantasy felt like real grounded in that classic like Tolkien high fantasy, but also they gave you a map. There was like a real tangible feeling of like, this is the realm where everything is. These are different, like the nations fighting each other. And I could follow that. But Age of Sigmar is a little too scattered for me. I don't know.
Yeah. That's your explanation is just a better version of my explanation of what that is as well. Like I think with the old world, you could really like lock into what was there, and when something was like a city was destroyed or a place was overtaken, there was huge tangible effects on the rest of the planet essentially of what happened there, and different races were affected different ways. Whereas AOS, I think you have these massive grand structures where 10,000 soldiers will assault a bastion, and the bastion will be picked up by, you know, 1 million angels and moved to another place. And I'm like, if 10,000 guys can die and it doesn't mean anything, what's the ramifications for the real story for that case?
You mentioned a number, and it's funny because we just had like the really cool CG trailer come out for the new edition of Age of Sigmar, like Age of Sigmar 4.0. And we have like the Skaven coming in, and they have the Skaven just have their entire city just pierce the ground into like the above realm.
Yeah.
And it's and the developers are talking about there's like 1 billion Skaven. There's billions of Skaven. That's a crazy number.
Yeah.
How do they not just win?
Like conceptually very cool for the city to just like smash through there. But like if you've seen the trailer, this is actually pretty cool. But you're right. Like I think it just really needs to, what really engages people. It all comes back down to this whole story about like, you know, take the Halo Master Chief taking his helmet off. It's like, you need to be engaged in the characters that are there. And with Old World, like you knew the leaders and you knew the king and the, you know, Karl Franz and the different leaders of the different cities and things. And if you can't engage with those characters, whether you like them or you don't like them, or you know, they're good characters or bad characters, if you can't understand what they're there for, it's hard to like get engaged in the world of this community. And I think with AOS, it's hard. Like you have these massive people like Nagash and Archeon and gods of the world, but it's I'm no god. I can't engage in that character. I need something at a low level.
There's no like weight, right?
Yeah.
I think they shot themselves in the foot a little bit when they first introduced the Stormcast Eternals, and the Stormcast Eternals are like heroes of like the previous worlds. There was so much potential for them to ride for it, but like those heroes can't die. Sigmar just reforges them.
Yeah.
So where's the weight behind their decisions?
Well, I know talking to like, I don't want to be all negative about it. Like it's something that I've struggled to get engaged in, but a lot of guys have really spoken about how they've really made strides in the novelty of it and like the world that they're building. So I'm hoping, you know, Age of Sigmar 4 is just around the corner. Hopefully with that, it takes another step forward and can really strive to become something that's narratively as engaging as, you know, something like 40K in the old world used to be. Like it has the opportunity to do it, and it has these amazing characters to be there. Like I'm like, I don't want to be involved. So surely I'm the perfect target marker for them to try and engage with, right?
I'm always sure that I'm also just like not deep enough in the narrative, and I'm just a bit more ignorant.
Yeah.
Because I'm always open for someone to just tell me that I'm wrong. Like tell me why Age of Sigmar is amazing and like all these characters and stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That'll be interesting. I never played Age of Sigmar. I wanted to.
You've painted a lot of it though.
Yeah, I wanted to play Idoneth, but hey.
Did you play at the start when it changed over?
No, I didn't even play. Like when I heard from like a couple of like people who was trying to teach me like, oh, you just do this, and then you just like, I think each person had a turn or something. I don't know what's going on. Like it's just
yeah. Well, like, did you play at Age of Sigmar? Were you playing Tabletop King?
I haven't played Age of Sigmar until very, very recently. I was always a 40K guy
because I was such a big fantasy player. When 8th was taken away, I was really like, you know, I invested. You know, I think when you're young, you invest into different properties. For some people, it's World of Warcraft. For some people, it's like, I don't know, what's the Witcher or something, right? For me, as when I was young, it was really Lord of the Rings and Warhammer Fantasy. Those were very my big things. Like I was in Star Wars and Halo and some of the stuff, but like Lord of the Rings and Warhammer, I really
chose some good ones.
Yeah, like I bought all the books and I had all the stuff, and like I was really, you know, when lore updates, when Wikipedia's would get updated, I'd be like right in there and I was into it, right? So when 8th went away, it hurt a bit. Like I was definitely in that market of like, oh, I wish it wasn't going away, but I wasn't in the stage where people were getting angry and burning their models.
Oh,
so
man.
Like, and it happened a lot. People like, you know, like people get really hurt by it because I was quite young. I was like probably like 20-ish, 21 when it did go away. So I was like young enough to be like, oh, I can embrace this new thing that came. So I rebased a bunch, and like, you know, I was good friends with the local Warhammer store and the guys running there. So I wanted to remain as part of that community like leadership program, and really I wanted AOS to be good. So I rebased a bunch of my models and I played regularly, and I tried really hard to like it, and it was not good.
What did it for you?
They shed when AOS swapped over from Warhammer Fantasy, they really shed away all the rules. They turned what was, you know, a massive tome of rules from this big book, something was complex and took skill to learn, and they turned it into a 2-page rule book, which was one A4 piece of paper with rules on the side, and basically you could just bring as many models as you want. There was no point system, which is point system is so important to any tabletop game because you have to create like a basis of level of fairness.
Yeah, it's part of that building, right? It's why people like card games. You can deck build.
Exactly,
you can army
right?
build.
And they took that away and you could just summon as many models onto the field as you want. And there was all these rules like, the player with the longest beard had this benefit. And if you played with your hand on your head, you'd get this benefit. And it was all this like really... Yeah, it was pretty hectic. And I think... You've taken like, again, I was like in my early 20s. I was like, okay with this. It's like, I was like, I'll try and get other people to like it. And I tried to like it. But you have guys who were maybe 35, 40 then. And now that I'm 33 and I'm older, and if someone did that to my thing, then I would be that mad as well. Because I just spent the last 10, 15 years of my life investing large amounts of financial like decisions into that thing. And then someone's basically just like, destroyed that in front of them.
What a sour thing for Games Workshop to do, right? Can you imagine?
It was this really kind of the dark age of Warhammer, where the CEO of the time did amazing wonders for them financially, but his MO was that Games Workshop was a model company. And if you play games with it, that's kind of like your own problem. So like the old Simpsons adage where it's like Bart's in the kitchen. He's like, if I'm going to spin my arms. If you don't like it,
it's your fault.
Yeah, so he's spinning his arms. If I'm going to spin my arms here, and if you get punched by it, that's your own problem. And you're like, what are you talking about? You're a games company. You can't.
The first AOS is the one with the corn, right? Like Stormcast versus corn. And the next one is the Nighthound, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And then the third one is with
we had the new orcs.
The Aurochs, the Aurochs, and then the fourth one will be Skaven. All right.
Aesthetically, they got way better every single time. Aesthetically, like very pleasing, and like the same thing. I was the perfect market of the people they wanted to swap over from fantasy to 8th because I was willing and I wanted to. So I bought some of the audio books and I was like trying to organize groups. And at the time I was running a community club where we'd play games there, like, very much like the gaming club now, but, we'd set it up at a community hall and put the train and everything, right? I was the perfect person they needed and I couldn't get involved. So I don't know who else they were going for. You know what I mean? Like, I think they really were just attempting to shed the old hat, and it was like, and fantasy had heaps of problems. It's not to say that it didn't. Some of the first games I played, I was told like, oh, this isn't for kids. I'm like, it's orcs and wizards. I'm pretty sure this is for kids, mate. Like, it's like, obviously there's complexities to it, but there was a lot of gatekeeping with old fantasy, and there was a lot of negatives to that. And they would, I think the biggest adage they had at that time when they decided that they were going to turn down and like basically finalize up 8th edition was. Space Marines, what's a Tactical Squad? Tactical Squad Space Marines sold more than all of the fantasy put together for that financial year. So one kit from Space Marines sold more than all of the Warhammer kits for the global company. So you can't blame a company that's based on shareholders to be like, well, why are we going to do this anymore? You know what I mean?
I think it's crazy flip now because I really think the fantasy side of models nowadays are like really good.
Yeah.
Like really, really good.
There's all this like push for fantasy stuff that's been really, really positive and really cool over the past like 10 years, like The Witcher and Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and all this stuff where it's brought, I think, coming out of the 70s, 80s and 90s, it was all about like space sci-fi, like Aliens and Terminator and all this cool stuff, right? And fantasy was something that was like probably, a little bit before that. It was like all the plays and stuff were like dragons and queens and, yada, yada. So I think we're in that like fantasy renaissance where we have the technology to create really cool things on screen, like dragons and stuff. And it's like now you can really represent those in a much better way.
I wasn't there narratively for the fall of the old world. And I recently picked up, they did a omnibus of like a collection of books about the old world. Was at least the end times cool? Was it narratively, was it at least enjoyable and cool?
So I think
I'm looking back, because retrospectively, I think it's really cool to see all these characters fall and like chaos kind of reign and Archeon as this character develop. But back then, seeing it happen like in real time, was it cool?
What I would say, because the way that it worked is right. Yeah, every couple of months they released a new book to a set of 5. Mm-hmm. For the first 2 or 3, it was really fucking cool. Like it was like you had these massive engagements and there was these new monsters getting released and like the new books were coming out and like the world was about to end and you're really on a knife edge. And then by the second last book and the last book,
oh no,
and then most of the characters are dead and whole swaths of like the planet has been destroyed, and we're kind of being like, wait a second, like, because every story ever is like, it's like it comes like you think of like a movie setup. Like there's the build up, so you know the characters, and then there's like, you know, it looks like these are like a plan's being made, and then there's a total loss, like, you know, a main character passes away or like someone gets kidnapped, and then, you know, then all the good guys rally at the end to like save the day.
Climax,
It's like that's what, you know, we felt like, you know, chaos is coming down and Archaon's like taking over the world and the Skaven are rising up from beneath, and now it's time for the Emperor to fight back and reclaim their land and like, you know, go back to the status quo so we can get to like 9th edition. And instead of that, the planet was exploded and the Skaven like phone called the Elder, and we're like, what the fuck's going on?
For me, this sounds really cool to hear Chaos win.
Yeah,
because you never get that at 40K.
If you play like the old world, right? I mean, the Warhammer Fantasy, right? And you can see Archaon going from the foot. Like there's a model called Archaon foot.
The old
like
Archaon,
he was
right?
like a bleb holding 2 eggs, and then he's like, oh.
From Chaos
Well,
Warrior
Kang's
being
managed to
ever
score
chosen.
himself a metal Archaon on horse, which is one of the coolest
Whoa.
like classic models of all time.
I think it's dated to like 2003.
That's pretty cool.
It's very, very cool. Like such a book front like level
Posing
model, like,
is
so cool.
proper heroic posing. Yeah.
Anything mounted is cool.
Yeah.
In my books, anything mounted is always cool.
I'm excited for Kang to tackle the metal miniature and see how much it hates.
I'm not
using it,
looking
you know.
forward to
We
it.
can all be
There's-
together
So
on that.
There's a lot of the detail
the
hasn't survived super
the
well.
thing with metal miniatures is you can't touch the model because every time you touch it, you scrape the paint off.
I got to prime it and want to varnish it, and then I start.
No. Like
Even some of the ones that Eli's painted for me, like one of the local community members paints my miniatures. I'm like semi colorblind, right? So me painting is already not a good strategy, and then I've got so little time. Like part of this discussion, so we have time to commit to this. So I've been having Eli paint some of my minis, and he's perfectly coated them, like awesome looking, like fantastic paint jobs, and he's put the coating on it, and I'm having to start be careful because like even some of the helmets, like some of the paint's getting chipped off just the top, where all I'm doing is picking them up that way to remove them as minis. So
I
have to
touch
be
my model
careful.
a lot when I paint.
no. Like metal models, you
It's
can't
after when you
touch.
play with it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just hard when you're painting it. Like, you know, like you base coat it. After you base coat, you want to put like your first layer, right?
Yeah.
Your base coat and stuff, your base colors and stuff. It's just touching those sharp edges. Like if you hold
Archaon's so sharp,
and
man.
the
He's all
oils,
spikes.
the oils in your hand will like coat
so
the top
you
of the
just
thing
wear
as
like
well.
a small like the finger gloves.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Oh,
but I'll report
Nem
that.
has the finger glove, like our local chef for the burger shop attached to the
Little
club.
the nitrite
He's got the
black
little
gloves.
finger gloves, and they're the weirdest little things, Rose. Like if he gets injury on his finger, or like he gets a blister from like the deep
just the
fryer.
fingers, right?
Yeah,
Just the finger fronts?
they roll
Yeah,
down.
yeah, I
They-
use that.
They look like little protections, and
Just call it what it is.
They little roll down.
Just
all
call
the
it
way
what it
to-
is, Danny. Look at condoms.
And it has like even has the little rolly bit right at the end, so all he can have them all of his fingers at the same time, mate. If we come in here and you're painting in the club wearing those things, man, that'd be bloody funny.
I'm keen for us to turn this podcast into a book club where we report back the books we've read and report back the minis we painted.
I haven't read any single book.
I'll go through the 5 stages
Never.
of despair. Painting Archaon.
I talked about the Dice Man last week, committing that I was going to finish that up so I can talk about it, and I haven't read a single additional page since.
Just
a week
audiobook.
ago.
You were quite a successful painter though, William. So
It's the time though. It's the time. I like to paint. Like seriously, I would like to paint. Like,
You'll have to talk about when you went to England for the game stage.
Oh
like
yeah,
the
we
painting
went
comps.
like the 2023 Warhammer Fest.
Yeah.
Warhammer Fest. So I went to Warhammer Fest with a friend of mine, Dean, who's a really good painter, by the way.
Dean Lecoq, look him up.
yeah,
he's on
he's
Instagram.
insane-
Really good. Really
insane
good painter.
So this is good. First experience to Golden Demon, and then I was like, oh my god, the standard is so high.
Did you feel confident going in, and then on the first day? You're
No.
like,
I
"Ooh."
mean, I went in with no expectation though. I went in to not. I mean, I don't need to win. I just want to get experience. Like how is it being judged? What's the process like? What's the competition level? Then I know where I am. Then I can improve to
So it's a
where I
motivator
need
for
to be.
you.
Yeah, where I need to be. I was like when I went, I was like, oh, the level of quality is just so high.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like these people really dedicate like,
World class painter.
world class, like seriously world class. Like imagine you playing soccer with Cristiano Ronaldo. Like that is the level. Like he's right ahead running, and you'll be like,
Yeah, I'm just on the floor having like heavy breathing.
yeah, that's crazy. Like the amount, like the level of painting is just insane. Like the the artistic level of these guys is just mind blowing. But
there can't be many Aussies making it all the way over to Nottingham to see that as well. Like, you'd be in a small cross reference of guys who really want to go see that from here and can actually do it, right?
yeah, it's really fun. Like, I think it's like a pilgrimage. Like,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
really need to do it. Like, if you have a chance, you do it. Like, you go to Warhammer World, you go to Warhammer Fest. But unfortunately, this year there's no Warhammer Fest.
Wait, how come?
I don't know. There's a GW decision.
The last few have been not received very well.
No.
I heard there was like massive lines.
2023 was the first one after COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then everything else was canceled since 2019. So 2019, and then it was 2023.
Yeah.
We'll save up for a travel vlog.
Yeah.
Me and you.
that'd be
People could
cool.
sign up to our Patreon and pay for us to go to England. That would be great.
We'll go to Warhammer
That would be like
Fest,
a
we'll report
$1,000 tier.
With all my small businesses, I haven't had a holiday since I was like probably 29.
Yeah,
So
but
I
if you have a
really
chance, like seriously, if you have an opportunity to go to any of the Warhammer Fest or just go to Warhammer World itself, it's just mind blowing. And if you go to Warhammer World, you get to see all the guys that you watch on Warhammer TV.
Yeah.
You're like, it's just there. Like, it's
All
just,
the YouTubers are there as well.
Are they behind like a glass plate?
no,
so you
not
can't
really.
touch them?
They just sometimes in the
hanging out.
What's that called? It's like a restaurant there, like a cafe.
A cafe,
Yeah.
Did you get involved in any of the activities?
What do you mean? Like,
Because I know in the Warhammer Fest there was a lot of activities to do as well, right?
I do laser tag.
What?
They did laser tag?
Yeah, it's like a Cadian versus Orc laser tag.
Oh, that's cool.
And
That's
you,
sick.
your laser tag, like the Orcs with like the Ducker guns.
Yeah.
And then I was Cadian, so
You had a las gun?
I had a las gun.
That's pretty cool. Do you have like photos of that?
You can't take photos in there.
What?
But I don't know, but
I would have held like
you
to see
need to
photos
capture objectives though.
of like grown adult William just like held into
Oh
me.
yeah, I would pay some real money to have William
So-
dressed up in a costume.
No, don't dress up. I was just wearing normal clothes. But it's like 5 versus 5. You need to capture objectives and then defend your objectives. So the longer you defend, the more points you get.
I feel now like I wanted to go, but now I feel like I'm really missing out. That sounds pretty
It's
cool.
pretty fun. Like that was like the best like event I had. Like the other events I went to, like so like I mean the previews are fun, but I mean it's live. You know, like the previews you watch on like Warhammer TV, right? So we watch it live. It's just a little bit different. The hype is different. You get more, you know, the feeling of
You're in the environment,
in
the
the
atmosphere.
environment. Like everybody's like cheering and stuff.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really cool.
The atmospheres in cons are very cool.
Oh, definitely. I didn't see much of the gaming side of it because
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
game. I don't understand what's going on. So
Was it all in one big hall?
Oh yeah, one big hall.
Most important question: what was the smell like? Was it?
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah,
They had
the
their stuff
ventilation
sorted?
is good.
They
The
knew what they were
ventilation
doing?
is good, Yeah.
Big conventions, man, they got proper industrial aircon. baby.
Ventilation was good because it's a big open space.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like the ceiling is just way high.
We
So-
we talked about it before. Because I've done a bunch of like technology conventions for like data companies and stuff, right? And I've been to the Melbourne Convention Centre. It's massive. And I've been to Melbourne Convention Centre for like this like technology summit, and I've been there for like Supernova and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's insane. Like, you know, this huge corporate company getting paid millions of dollars to make sure that everything is spot on. Even they can't keep up with the smell of like.
no.
5,000 nerds all cramped in there together.
I mean,
But then you go to the technology one and they're all like, oh, sweet, businessmen. They got deodorant. They know what they're doing.
They got to be salesmen, right? They got to smell good. So
yeah. So the other thing was I picked the VIP ticket as well. I paid for the Golden Throne experience.
Oh.
Yeah. So you get
Do you
like
get sacrificed to the Omnisire?
not really. You,
gotcha.
The problem was you get a different queue, so you don't have to queue up with everyone.
So it's like a wet and wild pass, but premium
yeah, you
pass.
got Disney Fast Pass.
and then you have
Pass.
you have a cloak room as well where you can have coffee, snacks, and stuff where other people
Yeah.
like have to.
So when the
go.
peasants have like finally annoyed you for the day, you can retreat to your like
private room with other Golden Throne ticket holders,
What?
and then you get a goodie bag as well, and it's a big goodie bag.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of the stuff you brought back.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So they ship it back to your country as well for free.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Were you here when he was going through all the swag? A lot of it
Yeah,
ended
yeah,
up in
yeah.
our like secondhand cabinets, obviously.
I was very jealous of a lot of Williams
Yeah.
cool stuff because
Yeah.
they do
Pretty cool.
convention exclusive minis and all that. So.
Yeah. We got quite a lot of stuff. I was buying up all the Primarks as well. So I bought up the entire Primark now. I have everything. Because you get like a £250
so that's for anyone listening in, that's 780,000 Australian dollars.
Not factoring in inflation.
so you get $250 the pound of like to spend in the stores. So I bought like all the Primarchs and stuff.
That's a good purchase.
Yeah. So now I have all the Primarchs in box, not painted. Yay!
Collectible.
We talked about like the Grom the Paunch thing before, and like Eli painting my minis for me. I've collected so many minis over the years, and I'm like, I'll paint these when I get good. But then I don't paint at all, and I don't practice how to skill. And then 10 years later, I'm like, oh, I still can't paint.
So I did a calculation, right? So if I started painting today, I think I would finish when I'm probably 60. Probably takes me 30 years to finish what I'm painting. I have a warehouse of
Why
minis.
so long? Of every model you have.
Yeah, I've purchased Warhammer since I was like
What if it was just the Primarchs?
16. Like
Jesus.
25 years maybe.
That's why the Dreadnought that came in was so dusty earlier, because it's been
Yeah, all the
the standard time.
The amount of hoarding I did. So it's insane. Yeah, I do have a lot of models.
Because we've both been to Will's house. You've been to Will's house,
Yeah, I
right?
have, yeah.
So do you have like a secret room that we haven't seen that is just full of
it's
stuff?
just attic.
It's heaving.
It's like a 20
leaning down from above.
25 square meters of models.
The part when I realized that William was also a massive nerd was when I went to William's home, and like in his room, he just has a life-size statue of Doctor Doom.
You didn't show me the massive Doctor Doom.
Oh, this was like in the
cool.
theater. Yeah.
Surrounded by all the other superheroes.
I have like Gulliman versus one of the Con as well, and
Yeah.
and then I have
demons.
Logan Grimnar as well.
So
in
the so the
statue.
wife's totally happy with like the stuff being
Oh,
there.
she doesn't care. Yeah, she married me. So
She knew what she was
knows.
getting into.
Yeah, pretty much.
One of the funniest stories you ever told me was when you had a really cool car, and then as soon as you got married, you like traded in for a
Yeah,
van.
a trashy car, family car.
Then she's hooked in now, right? Can't get away.
The at Warhammer Fest as well, you had a lot of like world class painters, and I remember what was really publicized as well. We saw a lot of the cosplayers show up, and it was really cool,
insane.
to watch like these people with like really insane like Warhammer cosplay, just like walk down the show floor, and everyone's just kind of like watching in awe.
The most impressive one was I think a Iron Warrior.
Yeah.
So every time he walks, there's a footstep sound, like a robotic foot. Yeah,
like he's got electronic joints and stuff like that.
So it's like a sensor or something on his leg.
That
Like,
was
it's pretty cool.
Have you ever seen the photos of like the old Russian what is it called when you dress up? I forgot the word.
Commissar.
cosplay.
No, what?
Cosplay.
Cosplay, yeah, I just forgot the word
Oh,
cosplay.
okay,
Oh,
okay.
Christ. The Russian photos of the guys playing Warhammer Fantasy cosplays. It's some of the most incredible stuff. They get hundreds of people all fully dressed up in like cosplay, and it's like they do it out in the field and have these massive
Oh
battles.
shit! It's like a civil
Oh.
reenactment.
I'll get some photos and I'll
War
put it. What I'll do is like a link dump on the Instagram, and I'll post all the photos there. But there's some incredible, and they'll have like 100 guys out in full costume. Like some are all dressed up in orcs, and there's
Is that LARP?
yeah, it's like a LARP, but like full kitted out. Like,
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's way cooler than William's laser tag.
there's a group of them that have costumes to make them look like squigs, and they've got big balls that they've like paper mache'd around it, so that their skin's all wrinkly, and then they've got like massive legs and teeth and shit. It's fucking cool.
Oh,
as.
my cool.
I'll get some photos to you. It's pretty
That'd be
cool.
awesome. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Like that definitely like I would say experience it's a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 Warhammer Fest experience definitely out there, but I definitely can be improved. I send my 2 cents to them as well. I emailed them like, look, this has to be improved, blah blah blah.
Was it anything big or just like to make it worth the trip, you reckon?
It's definitely if it's your first time, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna go like every year, then I think it's gonna be like it has to be improved in quite a few sectors of the whole event itself.
Was the ticket situation that you like? Did it sell out or is it?
I think it sold out on the Saturday one, and then Sunday I think it's still available.
Yeah,
So a lot of people went there to watch the Golden Demon itself, which is really a sight. Like thousands of miniatures, really awesomely painted.
Yeah,
miniatures displayed.
I think it's really fortunate that this exists. I think having a big like Warhammer con that everyone looks forward to is a really cool thing. I think it's a really cool part of the hobby.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm pretty disappointed that they didn't do it this year. Like, I would definitely want to go again. Like, but I think I don't know if it's cost or I don't know.
I remember my my like feed, my like YouTube feed was all full of like YouTubers really going and enjoying it and celebrating. They're all meeting each other. It was like a real gathering of like friends.
Especially in a year like a generation of social media marketing guys and stuff like that, you'd think a place like that would really generate enough like marketing opportunity and like other like YouTubers and stuff going there that they do the marketing themselves, you think it'd be worth putting on. But obviously they've got reasons why they don't want to do that.
If they're like just, workshopping it and they come back bigger and ever, bigger and better next year.
Well, the
never know,
2020 Warhammer Fest supposed to be the biggest ever.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, right? So it was in, I think one of the big, in Birmingham, it's supposed to be one of the biggest, like convention center. It's going to be like the biggest.
Maybe they're still just like financially recovering from it. Like
I'm not sure, but and then this was the original Games Day event was held there, and then they moved back to a smaller space. And then 2020 is supposed to go back to the original space. If I'm not wrong, yeah. And then that was. Well, that didn't happen. So yeah, 2023. Hopefully 2025, maybe.
Well, I think especially for us here in Perth, like Western Australia, we're one of the most isolated cities in the world, and I think that's a big deal for us as well because we get so little that comes to here, and it's like. So being able to go and like I said, pilgrimage away to other places like that, like a lot of like concerts don't come here and bands don't come here and like big events don't come here. Even over the years, even more have retracted and don't come to Perth anymore. The ones that did that, but they'll go do like the eastern states. So it's like having these things available and go to like a big deals and people need to go support those things when they do. And it's like, it's funny, like this actually ties in quite well because this weekend, the Good Game companies are putting on a Magic the Gathering event at the Perth Convention Centre.
The Commander event. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So they were pretty good. They sent us it's a free plug at this point, but they sent us a free ticket for one of us to like a store member to go down and check it out. So I think it's.
Reckon you're going?
Yeah, if you're because it's your Sunday this.
Yeah,
weekend, right?
I'm going to be manning the ship.
Yeah, so I will probably go down. I'll decide whether I'm going to go Saturday or Sunday, but I'll definitely go down just to check it out, look at what the event, see what kind of things they're doing. What kind of things can we bring back into the store and do here as well.
I think
get out in the community.
I think going to a con is a lot of fun. Yeah. I think it's once you hit that atmosphere and everyone's really there for
that's the thing, the atmosphere. It's not like more like the gameplay itself, but the atmosphere. You see all your friends that
seeing
you don't
people
see. Yeah, if you see like 10 people, it's like it's gonna be like a party.
Well, I think that's really important, like especially for like us here in Perth, like supporting that's a big deal because if they can do well and do it again, it means they'll come back.
Right.
And so many people, so many things like that come to Perth. Like they get half the attendees they want, and then they don't come back again. And it's like people are like Perth people are really quick to complain that things don't come to their city, but the minute they do, they're like, not gonna go. It's like
it's too expensive.
Yeah. So stuff like that.
I think William's convinced me to like start saving up some money for maybe Warhammer Fest, huh?
It's. I think 2023 was expensive because that was like the first like. Everything is open, right? So everything's expensive. But I think now flights are getting cheaper and cheaper.
I heard there was crazy attendance though. There was a lot of
people. Definitely. There's a lot of people. Like
the huge lines I've heard.
Well, I think some of the biggest and like the best memories I have as a kid is like getting a big group together to go on a trip or go to like a concert or something. So I'd say that like, that's such a, what kind of like an amazing trip it'd be to go with a bunch of mates over to England. Like, you're traveling from here to Perth all the way to there. It's such a big distance and like what you like, the experience, amazing that'd be if you could take a couple mates with you and stuff as well.
Yeah, definitely. The experience is always the friendship first and then the experience together in the event. That's the best.
Yeah.
But definitely.
All right, before we finish up this episode, I want to just ask, Danny, you team sci-fi or team fantasy?
Probably fantasy at the end of the day.
All right, William, team sci-fi or team fantasy?
What team what?
Do you like sci-fi more or fantasy?
Oh, sci-fi.
All right, I'm team sci-fi as well. So, the listeners, let us know. Are you team
like
sci-fi or team fantasy?
I like my robots.
I like my guys in like frilly shirts and swords.
I was that kid that looked into the stars and I was like, oh, cool.
You still can have fantasy, like lightsabers,
steel
swords.
That's what I think. So I was thinking as well. I was big on Star Wars, massive on Star Wars, but really Star Wars is just like fantasy at the end of the day, right?
Robotic.
That's why they call it science fantasy.
Science.
I think what's like the truest sci-fi, like Tau in 40K, right? They're not flapping around with swords and like hand core weapon. They're going to shoot you. So even like Warhammer 40K, like you still have guys with swords and like croziers and hammers and axes and stuff. Like they're still trying to punch each other in the face. In reality, if you've got a bolt gun that can blow someone's face off, you're never trying to stab anybody. That's ridiculous.
But if you
what
have
you're saying
armor,
is the real sci-fi is Tyranids. They'll just eat you. They just exist
in numbers.
In
numbers.
No, well, they're just Tyranids are just guys with shit swords. What do you mean?
No, Tyranids.
Yeah,
The bugs.
Yeah, but that's what they're just bugs that haven't. They've just got swords on their arms.
Yeah, they're just the creatures that exist.
They just haven't hit the technology yet. Like, do you think if Tyranids were able to be left alone for long enough, they would eventually like invent phones and then spaceships and shit? Like,
Well, if they ate a phone, they'll get a phone, right?
that's viral marketing right there, baby.
All right, do we have any plugs you want to plug in, gentlemen? William, what are you working on?
Nothing much. Still doing my eternalmagic.cc. If you want to buy singles, you can head there to buy hot TCG singles.
I think we have
hot singles in your area.
our Patreon officially has our first member.
The first 10 members of our Patreon are going to get a shirt. All right, I've come up with a design, and it's called the Boardcast under 10s. So I'm going to like kind of like a soccer club. Well, I guess it means there needs to be the first 11. The first 11 people, all right, are going to get a shirt. So it's a cool design. I'll post it up a bit later. But if you just sub to my Patreon, man, it's $4.50 a month. It ain't nothing. Yeah. Just sub to my Patreon.
Does Graham the first person to
Graham
sign
is the first
person.
person.
Does he get a special one? Does he get a team captain shirt?
Yeah, he does. Graham's going to get Boardcast's #1 supporter.
Shout out to Graham.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.